Let's bring Chad on right now. Chad, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, Chad, welcome to Show Me the Money. Let's show the drivers the money.
Thanks for having me.
So we always say on the Rideshare guy, right? We say, don't work hard, work smart, and always multi-app, as many possible, because you could get deactivated literally in an hour for whatever reason. So Chad, with that said, introduce yourself, tell us about Rides2U, and tell us a little bit about your past. It's quite interesting.
So I'm Chad Mastagh, the founder and CEO of Rides2U. I've been a local fireman here in South Bend, Indiana for going on 22 years. I was working a part-time job at Ryder Truck Rental as well, and my kids were in college, my daughters. My son was playing travel baseball, and like many people, you're trying to find an extra source of income to pay the bills, to do things for your kids. And one of my coworkers introduced me to Uber at the time, which I had no idea what that was 8 years ago. And so I went out and drove so he could get his little $100 referral bonus and started driving. But like a lot of drivers experienced, I would run into an issue on the app. I would call somebody and I'm speaking to somebody who's reading off a card, doesn't really even understand my problem. And, then it's like, hey, I'm doing all this work. I'm doing all the driving. And back then it was way easier to look at your pay and what the customer paid. And I'm like, why am I doing all the work and getting just a fraction of the pay? So, I'm a motivated driver. I'm highly competitive, and I, like many drivers, joined some Facebook groups, learned some tips and tricks on how I could get the most out of the app and beat the algorithm. And from there, as a dad of daughters, and I'm, like I said, as a fireman, safety is the most paramount to me. And I saw the condition of some of the cars on the road and some of the drivers, and to me, it was like, look, there's no way I'm ever going to put my kids in one of those cars. It's not going to happen. Like I want, and like many drivers out there today, that what happens is people want you to ride all the time. I call it illegal rideshare. It happens all over the place. Hey, you pick somebody up, I'll give you 20, 50 bucks to take me back. And I built a huge clientele, but I did go get the commercial insurance, which, everybody knows is hefty. And I got that commercial insurance, started driving, and I built a huge clientele to the point I couldn't keep up with my other jobs. And so, like many people, I was referring, everybody's like, well, if you can't do it, who can? So I would be, I spent a lot of my time finding people that do these rides. And that's when I went to Notre Dame to what they had at the time, the Idea Center, and said, hey, how do I get paid for what I'm doing, right? Like it's my name, my brand locally that, the people wanted to ride with, but I couldn't do it. And I'm finding people, but I want to get paid for that. And I want to get everybody on the right side of the law. I want everybody to operate with their commercial insurance and proper things. So that's where we got started back in 2021.
And fast forward to 2025, you're expanding, you're growing. I know I've known you for quite a while now, personally, but I know about the company as well. Chad, by the way, is one of the good guys in the industry, because he cares about the driver. I mean, he cares about his passengers, obviously, but he cares about the driver. So tell us a little bit about what Rides2U is. I know what it is, but then I want you, with your own words, tell us a little bit about, is it on demand? Is it only scheduled trips? How the pay differs when it comes to the driver? And you're mostly in college towns, obviously, and you have some deals with specific colleges. So let's get into that.
Right. So like it says behind me, like we say what Rides2U is, it's when trust matters most. When you need a ride, and it's very important, and you need that ride. We all know how the games are with traditional rideshare, with the reservation systems and platforms they had, and how it's not always fair to the driver. And you're, as a passenger, you don't even know who's really coming until they're on the way. Yep. And then you might get canceled on multiple times. So, I built this company, as a driver first, because unlike other CEOs of companies that go out and drive to show that they're making money, I actually had to do it to put money on my table. So I understand, and it's important to me that we treat our drivers we pay them the highest we can, B, we treat them with the most respect we can, because they are the face of the company. And, we can't go out and do every ride. I can't go do rides every day. So they are the most important piece of the puzzle to us, to share the brand, to get people to want to ride with us. And so we cherish our drivers, and as a parent of college students, and at the time, getting a guaranteed, safe, reliable ride was the most important thing to me when your kids are far away. You want to be able to know that someone's going to be there that's trustworthy, that's got a reliable vehicle and going to get you from point A to B. Now, does that come with a little bit extra increased price? Yeah. A lot of times our fares are, maybe 20% higher than traditional rideshare. Yep. But when it matters most and trust matters most, you got to pay for that, right? I mean, that comes with
absolutely, yeah. Well, I feel like, rideshare in its current form is, race to the bottom and basically let's call it Walmart of transportation, right?
Right.
I mean, and then you have the other players in there.
Right.
A lot of players have come and gone in the rideshare space because they don't have the deep pockets to compete with Uber and Lyft. But how come you survived for 4 years? And I know you're thriving. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I mean, first of all, I made a lot of mistakes, as a CEO of a company, as a driver, as a parent, as a father, and as a husband, right? I mean, but I've asked for forgiveness for my mistakes, and I try to learn from those mistakes and grow, and it takes a lot of faith, like Elon Musk said, like, you got to like staring into the abyss and eating glass as the CEO of a company, right? Every day you're facing extinction and you have problems upon problems that you have to solve. But it comes down to faith. It doesn't make it easy; it just makes it possible, and that's what I rely on right now personally is my faith. Like I would not be where we are today without the Lord. Like He's opened the doors for us, and you're looking at runways and you're doing these things, and the doors opened, and that's why I could give my praise to the Lord for that. But going into what you want to hear about the pay and things like that, I thought we would start this company as an on-demand company because that's what I was doing. I was making a lot of money on Venmo, driving at night when I was the small LLC. And I learned, like you said, it's a race to the bottom. It's impossible to do all the time. You're competing with surge pricing, these things. And we learned over time that what mattered most was people getting from point A to point B. And it's as a driver who was working other jobs, and like most gig economy workers, you work, not everybody does it full time. I want to do it when I can do it. And I want to know when I'm going to get paid. I want to know where I'm going, who I'm getting. I don't want to play these games of ratings and say, well, you got to be a 5-star driver with a 97% acceptance rate or whatever to see this. That's bullcrap, right? We show everybody everything, period. There's no levels. It's like if you come on, we don't hire everybody either, right? We take the best of the best. And if we wouldn't, at the end of the day, I wouldn't put my daughters in somebody's car if they don't drive for us. That's kind of our standard here.
Yeah.
But we don't play games with pay either. Everybody knows if the trip is 40 miles or less, you take 70%, not 70% after expenses, 70% of the customer fare. If it's a trip over 40 miles, it's 65% straight to the driver every time. So we don't do these after fares, whatever, expenses, it doesn't make
how do you price? Is it obviously it's not algorithmic, I know, but is it by time and distance, and how do you price those trips?
So everything is based off of like, first of all, when we go to a market, it's important to go to the drivers, right? Like we just launched up in Ann Arbor. We get with our partner there and our team and say, what's a fair price for you to do this ride? What does a driver want to get paid to feel like, hey, this was worth my time and I'm going to give a great experience to the customer? And so that's the number one thing, right? Is find out that, then say, okay, how much does it cost for insurance? How much is the credit card fees? And then we can reverse engineer the math on the price. Everything is fixed price. There's no surges. We created in these college areas specifically shared rides, right? Not like the traditional share you think of when you think of Uber share, but like shared rides from point A to point B, like, from example, Notre Dame to South Bend Airport, where the first passenger pays half the fare, like for here, and then the second pass, it goes on our app. It's like a virtual board. You can scroll the app, see all the available rides. Oh, this works for me or my students. I can get on this ride. And then now that, I've got 2 riders, each paying, let's say example, $20 each. So now that's a $40 ride going to the driver, $28. But every ride has a minimum fare. So for example, in that South Bend ride, they're getting $21 minimum, where you might see $6 to $12 on Uber or Lyft as a pay for a driver. So it's $21 minimum pay, could go all the way up to $42 per person. So we're pricing it per person on these shared rides. Everything we do on our private rides as well as per person. Depends on what people use.
I know, you're actually focusing on a niche that I don't know any other company that's focusing on, which is colleges, college towns, and college students, right? And how many colleges are you in now? What kind of deals you have with these colleges? And then let's talk a little bit about your expansion plans. How many more colleges are coming up? I mean, I've seen your maps where all the colleges exist, and it's insanity, like how many thousands of colleges are, and how many of these students go out at night and with the bars and things like that. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we currently operate at Ole Miss, IU, Purdue, Notre Dame, and Michigan. So those are our main campuses right now. We focus, like I said, on niche markets. Where ideally you're 50 to 200 miles from a major U.S. airport. These are secondary or third markets to traditional rideshare companies that, they struggle. They do great in major metro areas, right? It's easy. You have better quality, but you get outside of those major areas, it's rideshare stuff. And then you add, in a college town specifically, you add anywhere from 7 to 50,000 students for 10 months of the year.
Yep.
Rideshare really gets bad. It's bad to begin with, but then it gets really bad because of availability, and like they do, they take anybody and everybody, right? It's what makes them magical is that I can open my app and get a ride usually in 10 minutes. That's magic. I mean, let's not lie. But how do you do that? You take anybody and everybody, and that's why the experience has gone downhill for most people, right? As driver pay, customer experience has gone down. We don't do that. We flip the math and said, hey, look, by only doing reservations, we can know when the demand is, and we have tons of drivers that only want to drive reservations around their gigs, and they prioritize our rides because we pay them better. We try to treat them better. We try to do what's right by the driver and the customer. That's the number one focus.
Yeah. And as far as the onboarding of drivers, because I'm sure there's going to be some questions about it. Are you there? Are you there? So Chad just mentioned the five colleges that they serve at the moment, and it's going to grow, I'm pretty sure. How does the onboarding on the driver go? Is it the same process as Uber and Lyft, or do they have to have different qualifications or newer cars, or how does that work out?
Right. So, I mean, everybody can apply online on our Onboard website. There's a link, www.rides2u.com. The applications come in, we go through them, and then they set up interviews with our team. Locally, we do in-person interviews. So you come in, you sit down with their team, we talk about why we're different, and the standards that we have here. And then if everybody agrees to that, we do a visual inspection of your car every year. Everybody gets a 50-point mechanical inspection yearly, because we're also we want the best of the best to know your car, but we're pricing our price higher, right? And to get that price, parents need to know, we're doing our standard, TNC rules with the backgrounds and those things, but we go above and beyond because it's important that we have high quality drivers. We're looking to expand. We just launched in Ann Arbor October 1st. We know that in towns across America, there's great drivers and small operators all over the country that are looking for commercial insurance, that get opportunities to drive off the books. Illegal rideshare happens all over, but they don't have tech, they don't have the insurance, and so we're looking to expand with partners to come on board underneath our umbrella, for lack of a better word, and say, hey, look, I'm in this city. I know there's an opportunity for me to build a business under your company, be the operator of that business, and get paid when I drive and get paid some rev share as you grow the business in that area. So right now, that's our primary focus, is finding these trusted drivers in these towns across America that want something better. They want to build they want to build their business with us and say, hey, I want to get paid what I'm worth when I drive. I want to manage this business. I know people trust me, but maybe I already have a business and I'm turning people away. Here's an opportunity for me to come on your platform, get the commercial insurance, get the marketing, get the tech stack, and bring on a few more drivers under Rides2U and get paid for that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's quite smart, actually, that you're not competing with with Ubers and Lyfts, honestly. As you know, they have pushed reservations or scheduled trips, as they call it, on their platforms a lot, because these are very profitable trips for them. And they make the driver wait, like they have to turn the app on 45 minutes before, do this, do that. I'm like, that doesn't work. It just kills everything. What is the, if you worked, I mean, I'm not going to push you for exact numbers, but you drove Uber, you know me, we talk quite a bit, and then, we know how much a rideshare driver makes. Let's say a comparable trip, from IU to the airport. Do you know what Uber charges and pays the driver? And do you know why you charge and pay the driver?
Right. Yeah. So Uber from IU to Indianapolis, you're going to pay between $60 to $100 depending on the time of day. Obviously, the reservations also flex up and down. I mean, to get more specific on numbers, let's just talk Notre Dame to Chicago, right?
Okay.
And Uber trip is $175 on the app, on demand or reservation most of the time.
Okay.
They do know when these kids are leaving because the reservation prices will go higher on those days, just like on a football weekend, right? We don't ever surge our price, but that 175, I've seen screenshots. You've seen me post them on X, where drivers are getting offered anywhere from 55 to 80 to maybe 90 to $100 for that. It's 5 hours. You're talking traffic, tolls, wear, tear, gas, right? That's not worth it. 50 to $100. Our minimum trip there is $250. That can be split by two riders on a shared ride, and that pays the driver $160, $250 minimum. If they end up with 4 or more passengers, they get $325, $406 and a quarter. It can go up. So we want to pay them fair,
I mean, on a shared trip, as you say, this is not Uber Pool or Lyft shared, by the way, folks. Like, it could be roommates that are from the same city, and then they're going to go back home for Christmas or whatever, any holiday. Or at the end of the
example is one might be a couple on campus at Notre Dame, might be at St. Mary's across the street, and we don't dictate to the driver, this is the route to go. As a contractor, the best way to go around campus. I'm going to let you decide. I'm going to go here, here, and here and get my passengers and get on the road, right? I mean, you are the person that knows the city better than anybody else. Why should we say, hey, you need to go this way?
Yeah, absolutely.
As a contractor, you should have all the freedom. you know the price. We're gonna let you go the best way you want to go. We always recommend using Waze or something for traffic. But
So all these trips include insurance, obviously commercial insurance. Right. And the other thing is, I mean, if you just kind of do the math in your head, the driver is going to make about 60% more than Uber and Lyft in most cases, on average, probably under Rides2U. And the rider is going to save, if it's a shared trip, instead of paying $175, $200, they're going to go for $125. So both sides win, basically. Do you have any idea of what schools are next, or can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, like you've seen our map, we're right now looking for partners. Obviously, they found that's the most important way to go right now, is to find people who already have an established brand who can't grow anymore or are looking to grow, like we did at Ann Arbor with them. So, we're looking at Wisconsin, the Ohio State, I should say, some down south, in the Big Ten, the SEC. There's a lot of schools. We get drivers and parents all the time asking us that have kids in multiple schools. Can you please bring us here? Can you bring us to Austin, Texas? Like, even though there's robo taxis and everything everywhere, they're asking us all the time, bring us here, because they want something different. So
yeah, no, I look, I've known you for quite a while. As I said, I know about the company, and I think doing what you're doing is grow slowly, right? But then grow properly, as opposed to what these companies have done. Just create a marketplace and throw everybody, both sides of the marketplace, to the wolves, the rider and the driver. And I can vouch for Rides2U that if it's in your city, you definitely should take a look at it. They don't accept every driver, by the way, so you guys know. So it's not going to be the cakewalk that you guys think it is, like Uber and Lyft, but they want the best and the best for their business. So I'm going to give you the floor. We got a couple of minutes remaining, and tell us anything else you want to add.
No, I just appreciate you having me on today, and being able to share the opportunity and our relationship we've had for the last 3 years. It's just, we're always open for suggestions. If if anybody is interested in becoming a partner with us to drive, I mean, I'll give you my personal email. It's chad@rides2u.com. Send me an email. And we can discuss, opportunities in that area. We obviously want to look at permitting the expense, but we feel like this partnership thing is a great way to help people grow their business with us and expand Rides2U across the country, and give people a fair opportunity. Our driver discontent's at all-time high. We all know that, and this is an opportunity to take Rides2U all across America and the towns that it fits, with drivers that it fits, and grow and make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I wanted to post is this thing right here. I enjoy driving with Rides2U. It's been a great experience for me. One of our audience members posted that. I just wanted to show that. And yeah, thank you for coming on. And we'll keep our audience posted about what's going on with Rides2U. They're here to stay, folks. They're unlike the other ones that have come and gone. Couple, in fact, I've worked with, but their model is different, and that's why I think they will survive and thrive. So, Chad, thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club, with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.